At midnight, 3-finger marks appeared on Tang's chest. The next day, Tang claimed someone had been lying in his bed. On the third day, the two men fled their dormitory wearing nothing but their underwear. This is Tang's first-hand account. In 2014, Tang was working in Changchun, Jilin province, at a Korean barbecue restaurant that is still operating today. The events took place in the employees' dormitory. The dormitory was located on the second floor. The layout of the apartment was rather unusual. When you entered through the front door, you step into a large hall with no big windows. Only a small window on the wall opposite the entrance. The bathroom was immediately to the right of the entrance. Farther inside was a bedroom surrounded by windows. That bedroom was adjacent to the bathroom and belonged to the head chef, who only stayed there once or twice a month. Tang and another employee, Tang, slept in the large hall, with their beds placed against the wall beneath the small window. The dormitory was spacious, and only the two of them lived there. Their beds were large, comfortable spring mattresses. One evening after work, Tang returned to the dormitory, washed up, and laid in bed watching television dramas on his phone. It was around 11 p.m. to midnight, and he was watching Braveheart. In the episode, Hugh Jalong's father had returned in a dream. At that moment, he heard the door making a loud metallic creak. It was a heavy iron door, and the sound was unmistakable. The door opened slightly, and then he heard a set of rapid footsteps rushing straight towards the head of his bed. Tang assumed it was Tang returning from a night out and trying to scare him as a joke. He raised his phone to illuminate the room and simultaneously threw a punch towards the sound. The moment the phone's light swept across the area, his scalp went numb. There was nothing there. He was absolutely certain he had heard the footsteps. The TV volume was low, and he wasn't wearing headphones. Shaken, he turned off his phone, pulled the blanket over himself, and eventually fell asleep, though he didn't remember exactly when. 3-finger marks. The next morning, Tang told Tang what had happened. Tang didn't believe him. When Tang went to wash up and looked into the mirror, he noticed 3 distinct finger-shaped marks on his chest. The marks were bluish-purple in color, with reddish skin surrounding them, almost as though someone had grabbed him forcefully. The marks remained visible for about a month. Around the same time, Tang constantly felt as though someone was blowing cold air against the area behind his ear. He would involuntarily shiver throughout the day. Sometimes he deliberately tried to suppress the reaction, but he couldn't. Someone in the bed. After that incident, things remained quiet for about half a month. Then one morning, Tang woke up and asked, "Were you sleeping in my bed last night?" Tang laughed. "No, why would I? My bed's huge." Tang looked uneasy. "Don't mess with me." Tang swore that he hadn't. Only then did Tang explain. During the night, he had gotten up to use the bathroom. When he returned, he saw someone lying in his bed. He assumed it was Tang and didn't think much of it. He simply lay down and went back to sleep. Listening to this, Tang felt every hair on his body stand on end. His mind immediately went back to the footsteps he had heard weeks earlier. After discussing it, both men became genuinely frightened. Sleeping in the dormitory no longer felt comfortable. The figure between the beds, because of their work schedules, they often didn't return to the dormitory until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Usually they were so exhausted that they could barely stay awake. Still, they always spent a few minutes scrolling through their phones before sleeping. One night, they returned as usual. Around midnight, Tang began feeling sleepy and put his phone down. The moment he did, he sensed something moving above him. The room was completely dark, and his eyes gradually adjusted. Then his scalp tingled with fear. He could see a pair of legs. The figure appeared to be wearing leather shoes. The trousers were difficult to make out, blurry and indistinct. The legs seemed to be suspended in midair, back and forth, back and forth. They moved directly between Tang's bed and Tang's bed. The sight froze him in place. He couldn't move. Then he remembered that Tang was still in the room. That thought gave him enough courage to force out a cough. A moment later, Tang coughed from across the room. Tang asked quietly, Can you see it? Tang replied, yes. Neither of them specified what they were seeing. They didn't have to. Both knew exactly what the other meant. Tang whispered, on 3, we run. Tang answered, wait, I don't think I can move. Tang asked if he was okay. After a moment, Tang said he could manage. Tang counted, 1, 2, 3. Clutching their phones, the two men sprinted out of the dormitory. They were wearing nothing but their underwear and were barefoot. The truth about the apartment. Once outside, both grown men were terrified to the point of tears. It was late summer approaching autumn, and the temperature outside was only around the mid-teens Celsius. They were cold, frightened, and unwilling to return. Tang called their boss. The boss had already gone to bed, and they initially thought they were joking, but Tang insisted they were too scared to go back inside. Eventually, the boss drove over, picked them up, and checked them into a small hotel. The following day, the boss confronted the real estate agent who had rented them the apartment. Only then did the agent reveal something he had never mentioned before. Directly above the spot between the two beds, the exact location where Tang and Tang had seen the figures, there had once been a fixture used for hanging a person. It had since been removed. The agent knew about it, but had deliberately failed to disclose it. That was also why the rent had been unusually cheap. The agent had charged only 500 yuan for a property located on one of Changchun's main streets. That price was practically impossible. Comparable apartments would normally rent for well over 1,000 yuan. Soon afterwards, Tang and Tang moved out. The strange incidents never happened again. Aftermath. Although nothing unusual occurred after they left, Tang's physical symptoms lingered. The 3 finger marks on his chest remained visible for roughly 3 months. The sensation of cold air blowing behind his ears and the uncontrollable shivering that came with it continued for more than a month before finally disappearing.